لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة كما قال صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. All praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator and controller of this entire cosmos and universe. And may the choicest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon our Nabi, Nabiullah, Habibullah, Sarkar Medina, Ruh Hasina, Nabi Kareem, Rahim Rahim, Rahmatan lil Alameen, Sayyidul Mursaleen, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Imam al-Anbiya, Ahmad al-Mujtaba, Muhammad al-Arabi, Muhammad Rasulullah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. في طريقة الأخبار الشريف حضرت علامة مولانا سيد عبد الحسن الأشرفي حفظه الله تعالى حضرت علامة مولانا مفتي أمجد علي ثاني صاحب حافظ الزيشان صاحب صلى الرسول أول السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
The other day I was discussing about technology and I was talking about that technology has become so advanced now that if you think about it, the smartphone that we hold in our hand is so advanced that if I punch in the correct numbers on my phone and any intended message, not only message, picture, video, I can send it to my desired recipient to any corner of this earth. Allahu Akbar. And it will reach that person in seconds. Such is man-made the technology. That's how powerful it is. Within seconds, right now, I will send a message to Barbados. Whatever I want, I can show them what I'm seeing right here, right now. This is the power of man-made technology. If this is the power of man-made technology, let me tell you about one technology of the Ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One technology of the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is khas for those who are the Ashiqan Mustafa, the Muhibbani Mustafa, the true lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Such is the technology of the lover of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his heart, if he programs muhabba for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he recites Durood as-Salam upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you better believe that the Durood is being transmitted and received in Medina Tayba within seconds. Subhanallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Angels are taking this to the Prophet sallallahu with scribes written with silver. Your name is being presented. Your father's name is being presented. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he knows you. He knows you and he knows who is sending what to him at all times. Allahu Akbar. And I'm not just saying this out of mubalagat and exaggeration. This is actual from hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We know this is what happens when Ummati sends Durood as-Salam on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And remember this, Imam Zayn al-Abidin radiallahu anhu, he said, you know what the alamat of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is? What the sign of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is? He goes that they recite كثرة الصلاة على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The sign of the Ahl Sunnah, how do you sense when you're sat with the people of the Ahl Sunnah? The saved sect, how do you do that? Because always they will recite in Kasrat, Durood Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. You know, the other day I mentioned hadith because some people, you know, especially this time of year, you get these common arguments, right? I'm going to mention this is important, especially because there's lots of youth here. And under the guys like Qibla Shah. And I'll say this, that people say sects, you know, what is this sectarian position? What are you saying? I follow this sect, I follow this sect. I'm just Muslim. I'm just a Muslim. I follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Somebody said that to me, and I said to him, listen, I go, which Muslim are you? Are you the one that believed there was a prophet after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Are you the one that on the 10th of Muharram goes to Windsor Road and whips himself with shackles and chains? Are you the ones who utter ihanat about the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Which one are you? How do you distinguish yourself? Because everybody says we're Muslim, everybody says we follow the Quran. So how do you distinguish yourself? It's important for you to distinguish yourself, is it not? You know, when it comes to LGBTQ and somebody, you know, makes statements in that respect, you're not going to distinguish your sexuality. Of course you are, because you don't want to be prescribed or ascribed to a certain class or group of people, right? You're going to make it very clear, hey, listen, I'm like this, right? So the thing is, to differentiate there's nothing wrong in this. And let me tell you something, actually, it comes from the hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sahih hadith, and I tell you this, it comes in Sunan ibn Majah. There's many hadiths like this, but the one I'm going to pick here is the one from Sunan ibn Majah. And Hazrat Auf bin Malik radiallahu ta'ala is the narrator, and he says that the Prophet sallallahu first he talked about the Jews, and he said that they were divided into 71 sects. And then he talked about the Christians, and he said that they were divided into 72 sects, right? And by the way, one sect of those, the Prophet ﷺ said, will only enter Jannah from their time, right? From when their prophets brought them the message. The rest of them, they will be in the fire. And then the Prophet ﷺ begins to speak about his own Ummah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Look what Rasulullah sallallahu he says. He says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ. He says, I swear by Allah. Because he says, I swear by him within whose hand is the soul of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ لا تفترقن أمتي على 73 فرقة. The Prophet ﷺ, listen to his words, what he's saying. He said, indeed, my ummah will divide into 73 sects. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ is telling us this, and he's telling us, and you know in one hadith he says, Sadaftariku. In other words, in the future he's talking about, my ummah will divide into 73. In other words, they haven't divided at that stage, right? They will divide into 73 sects. And then the Prophet ﷺ in one hadith, it comes that the Prophet ﷺ says that 72 will be in the hellfire. They will enter the hellfire, right? And they will enter the hellfire. They will be the whole finnar. They will enter the hellfire. These people claiming themselves Muslims in the sect of the Prophet, in the sect of Islam. Imagine this. They will enter the hellfire. This is Sahih, I'm telling you. And then in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Illa millatan wahida," except one group. Except one millah, the Prophet ﷺ said. And when the Sahaba asked him, Akila ya Rasulullah, about this group, when they asked him, who is this group? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Jama'ah. He said, Al-Jama'ah. In other words, the greater, the Jama'ah, the group, the large group. And then in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the Salad al-Azam, i.e. the greater majority. The greater majority. Remember the other day I said to you, out of 57 Muslim countries, 55 celebrate Eid Mawlid al-Nabi as a national holiday. Is that not a majority? Is that not a majority? You're telling me that's not, of course that's a majority. Save Qatar and Saudi, everyone celebrates Eid Mawlid al-Nabi as a national holiday. Now, so Al-Jama'ah, so the Prophet said the Salad al-Azam, the greater majority. In one hadith the Prophet said, he said the Firqa Najiyah, the saved sect. The Prophet ﷺ was talking about. Now tell me something. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he's telling us that 72 will enter the fire. There will be the whole finnar, and the rest of them, they will. The one group will enter Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ, is he not telling us something here? Is the Prophet ﷺ not trying to emphasize something here to us? Now next time somebody asks you, right, I don't believe in sects. What is this idea? Well, if you don't believe in sectarian position, you don't believe in a sect, then you can't be a part of the millah, which enters Jannah, that the Prophet ﷺ said. How can you be part of the Salad al-Azam, the Jama'ah? Because this is what Rasulullah is saying in the hadith. If you don't accept sects altogether, then you don't, how can you fit in the classification of this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? Right? So just so you know, this is Hasan hadith, this one I just presented to you is rock solid. You can present this anywhere. This is Sunan ibn Majah. It comes in, the Sahih Sita is repeated many times in different variations and forms. Right? So first thing you must know this. Right? Now, the other thing that I was saying, and I don't intend to take long, the reason is because I came to listen, I didn't come to speak. Right? That was the reality of it. Say about that. If Rashad Sahib is here, I've come to listen. And look, I'll say this. You know, because it's more than the Nabi, I'll present Sayyidis from Bukhari for you. You know, what this is all about. This is about Muhabba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told us in hadith, and these are, you know what, it makes me shiver. They're scary words in one sense, because the Prophet sallallahu is rahmatan lil alameen. And if you look at the hadith, you will see a very soft way of the Prophet sallallahu speaking, because he was full of love himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in this hadith he says, La yu'minu ahadukum حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. The Prophet said, لا يؤمنون. You don't believe, Allahu Akbar. How serious is the wording at the start? He goes, you don't believe until you don't love me more than your children, your parents, and all of mankind. Allahu Akbar. Who do you love more than your children? Ask yourself, really. You know, if you had 10 million pounds in your bank, you pour all your life. You acquired that 10 million yesterday. And if someone was to say to you, your son's life, or the 10 million, you would think twice. Take the money. Don't do anything to my son. Right? Who do you love more than your children? Wealth? No. Who do you love more than your parents? Who do you love more than, and all the people? You know, this one, in other words, love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than absolutely everybody. More than absolutely everybody. He should be absolute number one priority. And let me tell you something, you know, when the true mu'min has this love and muhabba of Rasulullah Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has it absolutely at the forefront of his mind. He operates like that all his life. Then how can he ignore instructions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Actually, there's another saying, this is very, very similar in wording. Qibla Shafsa will remember this. I haven't quoted this for a very long time, so I hope the wording comes to me. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. The Prophet ﷺ said, and I nearly finished now, and I'm just going to tell you this. Remember this, all of you claim to be Muhibbani Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All of you claim to be lovers of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then we can't ignore this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Again, same wording he starts with. None of you believe. None of you believe until he doesn't love for his brother what he loves for himself. Allahu Akbar. Now imagine this, right? This is the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know something? This is a litmus test. You want to know if you did something right or wrong. Whatever you did, ask yourself, did I love for my brother what I loved for myself? When I sat with my brother and I gave him a division of the food that we ate, did I give him an equal share or more share? Or did I cut him and gave myself more? Did I love for him what I love for myself? When I did business with my business partner or my client, or when I charged somebody, did I love for him what I loved for myself? You know, look at, you know, when you're dealing with your neighbors, when you're dealing with your children, when you're dealing with, you know, family matters, when you're seniors in your family, you're distributing estates when people have passed away, wasiyat, all these things. Are you living in accordance with the hadith of the Prophet? In everything, there should be this understanding that you should love for your brother what you love for yourself. When we operate with these morals, when we operate with such muhabba, and we have Ishq Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam in us, then we will see nothing but barakah in our life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our coming. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh al-mubin.